Today we are here as surgeons, and that is what we do day in and day out. The most common plastic surgery done worldwide, and this is of course the most common surgery that we do.
Many a times the patients complain that their colleagues and friends complain that they are always looking tired.
And I think an eye plastic surgeon understands this nitty-gritty details of the surgery and the organ and the tissue that they are handling. We very delicately go, through the lid crease so that it's hidden. So when the patient is looking straight, nothing is seen.
How much they would have to stay away from work, they can work on the laptop. There's another very common question that the patient asks. If they get it done maybe at 40 years of age, does it last their lifetime? We actually believe that preserving your youth is so very important.
Yeah.
You can't just look at somebody's eyes and think that, okay, this will look good on my eyes.
Really functional indication for blepharoplasty to improve the quality of life, just not rejuvenating yourself. There are very specific situations where insurance definitely covers that, anything to do with the eye, tucking in the lateral area, dealing with the fat inside, draping the fat. I think an eye plastic surgeons really navigate it better. I think as a doctor and a surgeon, you also kind of draw a line. Today we are here as surgeons, and that is what we do day in and day out. And we have chose this topic, and the topic is blepharoplasty. Now, why did we choose this topic? Because this is one of the most common plastic surgery done worldwide. And this is, of course, the most common surgery that we do in our practice as well. And recently, we have had this in-depth discussion with our patients who had walked in, and they said, you know what, there is not much of information from an eye surgeon or an eye plastic surgeon regarding blepharoplasty. And then we said, you know what, the next episode is going to be that. And this is for you, all our clients who really wanted us to talk on blepharoplasty.
Yeah, I agree. I think most of our patients say that there's no complete information that exists because obviously internet is their resource to find out what's happening and where to go.
Yeah.
So many of the patients actually walk in with symptoms of tired eyes or strain in the eyes, and they don't actually know what is happening and why they are looking like that. Many a times the patients complain that their colleagues and friends complain that they are always looking tired, they are always looking hungover, and they have all these comments and they don't feel good about it. And even when they see themselves in the mirror, they feel that there's something going wrong, but they don't know what is going wrong, and they don't know and have much information about symptoms that can happen for which blepharoplasty is indicated. And that's why we are here to give you an in-depth information about it so that you can choose the right surgeon and the right procedure for your rejuvenation.
Yeah, right. Rejuvenation. Let's take on to that word. So as Shefali said, the symptoms is mainly, baggy, puffy eyelid. You look tired. Redundant skin in the upper eyelid. They have this, severe brow discomfort and, etc.
Heaviness that they
Heaviness
feel.
that they have. And there are some patients who knows that this is not good, but they hesitate thinking it's a plastic surgery.
Correct,
Like,
that taboo of plastic surgery.
The taboo of undergoing a plastic surgery. So as you rightly said, she said the word rejuvenation. So we actually consider this as rejuvenating yourself and giving a freshened look to the eye. And, whenever you look someone to the face, eye is the most, prominent structure in the face. And unfortunately, when we all are, hitting our 40s and 50s, the most prominent changes also that happens is in and around the eyes. You agree, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like my skin is not the same as I was like 10 years back or even 5 years back that way. Yeah, you agree?
Yeah. And rightly, the taboo of plastic surgery so much. You remember that patient who was like, I have never been bothered about my looks, but now when I look at myself, and she kept repeating that, I don't want to undergo plastic surgery. I have never been like this. But then she was
Yes.
not comfortable with the way that she was looking. The bags under her eye were making her look tired all the time.
Yeah.
And I think you would agree that the empathy and trust of the doctor comes into a role
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
When we make the patient comfortable, they come
Yeah.
out with whatever they are feeling inside. And I think it's that patient and doctor relationship that can give the absolute, adequate, and amazing
Yes.
result.
Yeah.
Because we also believe that it should be near natural and not aggressive.
Absolutely.
And it should not be like a photocopy of something that you have seen on the internet and you want exactly your face to look like that.
Yeah,
You would
right.
agree like
Yeah.
that.
So taking that point, we do have patients who comes with, like, this is what I want to look like from, something that they have got from
Somewhere in
internet.
Korea,
Yeah,
somebody is looking
yeah,
like this. Yeah.
right. So I think every ethnicity has a look, and that has to be preserved. And I think all these rejuvenation and freshening of the face and the eye has to be done in a very, very near natural
Yeah.
way, as Shefali said. And some patients rightly really don't understand why these changes are happening. And also, although it bothers them, they really don't know where they should go, right?
Correct,
To whom
correct.
to approach. And we believe really strongly that, eye being a very, very sensitive organ, there is so much of, it has to be dealt very, very delicately, right? Yeah, there are
Correct. The
structures of
millimeters that we are working with.
absolutely, yeah. So we measure, and the skin. Although you might have a very redundant skin, but then you can't take off the entire hanging
Yeah.
skin, because that can land up in trouble. Again, in the lower eyelid, if you take too much and if you're too aggressive about the surgery, and I think an eye plastic surgeon understands this nitty gritty details of the surgery and the organ and the tissue that they are handling in a much, much, much better way, avoiding, unforeseen complications and side effects of a very simple surgery. It's actually a very, very simple surgery for a trained surgeon. Yeah. Mm.
And you were talking about ethnicity. So you
Yeah.
have worked in various countries, like different demographic
Yeah.
populations you have dealt with, like in
Yeah.
China, Mongolia.
Yeah.
Would you want to tell us your experience, patients'
Yeah.
expectations in those places, and
Yeah.
how the anatomy is so different
Yeah.
in those regions?
Yeah, so we all know that, Caucasians looks different.
Yeah.
Indians looks very different. Asians look very different. As I said, again, there is a customized approach to everything. You don't want to make an Asian look like a Caucasian, right? Because we all know that Asians have a very, lower lid crease. The lid crease distance is very less. But in a Caucasian or an Indian, you have a little bit more higher lid crease. So all these things, again, in Emirates, where I work in Dubai, well, there you get multicultural population where you're dealing with different ethnicity at the same time. And it's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So how we deliver it as a surgeon is like we actually check the pictures, right? We go and see how they were looking during, the previous years or the youthful years, and, which is the picture that they really like about them and what they're expecting. So it's not a picture that you take from an internet of an other patient. So we kind of serially check the pictures and photographs of the patient and ask them, what do you expect, what do you want actually. So it's just not, and it's all modification of procedures. It's sometimes just not dealing with the eyelid and the lower lid. We might need a little bit of lifting of the mid phase. The brow might be drooping, that has to be fixed. So it's a combination of various things depending upon the ethnicity. Asians are so very different, Caucasians are so very different, Indians are different, and various ethnicity. And of course, the patient expectation, what they want to, get out of that.
So basically, I also would want to clarify what we are dealing with here. It's the upper lid that we can deal with. It's the lower lid that we can deal with. It's just the skin that we can deal with. If it's a fat bulging, we can take out the fat in a natural way so that it looks rejuvenated. We can go from outside, inside, like when we are dealing with the lower lid, we generally do a transconjunctival approach, which is from the inside where there are no scars. But if there's a loose skin, we can actually tighten up the skin. But even that, the scar is so hidden under the lines of our eyes and lashes that it's just not seen. So it's like a combination of all these things. And I think it's so important to deeply discuss all these things with your
Yeah.
surgeon. Maybe have 1 or 2 or 3 consultations maybe before you finally plan in for your
multiple
procedures,
visits.
multiple
All
visits.
these patients would
Bring
have
in your
multiple
pictures,
visits.
tell the whole story, whatever you are feeling. And
Yeah.
also, it is so important to be comfortable with your surgeon so that you are open about all the results that we are discussing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, we always open up our communication channels with these patients because we understand that they have very specific, need and expectation from us. So sometimes they might remember one question and then, they would
Yes.
say like, doctor, I have one more question. Like,
Yeah.
it would just strike them.
Right.
And these are important for an individual. It is so very important because they are the one who's going under the knife. And as a surgeon, we respect that. And I think it's a trust building and empathy, as you said, is so very important between a patient and a doctor. And until and unless they are ready with all the questioners
Yes.
answered, as a surgeon, we're also not too comfortable going in because they need to know A to Z about what
Yes.
they want and then what we are gonna do with them. And it's very interesting. We actually kind of get into a great relationship with these patients. Sometimes they think, oh my God, I'm going to ask you a very stupid question. Not a single question is stupid because, that is what you really want to know. And of course, we don't have too much time to discuss everything in detail today. And most commonly, the patient asks is they're worried about the scars, like, will it cause scars in our eyes? Yeah. So what we do, as Shefali said, in the upper lid, we have actually a natural lid crease. So we very delicately go, through the lid crease so that it's hidden. So when the patient is looking straight, nothing is seen. Maybe when they look down, you might see a line. Lower lid, it's all hidden. We go inside where there is absolutely no scar. And even when we have to take the skin out, we go very, very close to the lash and, try to hide the scars as much as possible. We try to make markings along the natural lines that you have in and around the eyes. So, and that is how we are trained. And that is why it is so important that, anything to do with the eye, tucking in the lateral area, dealing with the fat inside, draping the fat. I think an eye plastic surgeons really, really navigate it better.
And I think eyelid skin is the most amazing skin of the
Yes.
entire body.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
Thinnest skin.
thinnest
It's the
skin,
thinnest
yes.
skin of the body.
Scars are least.
Yeah.
Another question I think most commonly the patients ask, and I would want you to address it, is what is the timeline for the surgery? If they get it done maybe at 40 years of age, does it last their lifetime?
Right.
So this is another thing that we discuss with our patient, and they want to know that, okay, I'm going under the knife, and is it like forever that I'm done and I will never have this fat bulging out again?
Right. Yeah. Every time, every patient they are. So is it like a once in a lifetime procedure?
Correct.
You know what? To be very honest here, aging is a process.
Yeah.
Aging is a process. Like, I am not what I am in my 40s when I was in my 30s. And I'm sure I will be different. My skin will change, my face will change in my 60s. So, once when you do, it really stays a long time. But then, you don't have any control over your changing face. So,
And gravity.
and gravity. Oh my God. Yeah. Everything hangs. Everything hangs. The eye hangs. And, certain changes can happen in due course of time where you might need some adjustment. Like, a patient coming in their 40s and getting a blepharoplasty done, but in their 60s and 65 and 70s, and 70s are now new 40s.
Yes.
That's what I believe. So they might have a bit of a droopy eye also, apart from the redundant skin.
Droopy brow.
They can be, droopy brow and droopy eyelid, which will require, kind of rejuvenation or fixation in future. So, it may not be the one last surgery that you do if you're really bothered about how in and around of your eye looks like. They might need some fixation in future, like maybe after 10 years or 15 years. Yeah.
And coming to the age, when we're talking about the age groups, so many times 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds come with us with pictures of Korean patients, people who have they have seen on the internet that I want my lid to be like this. I want my eyes to appear a certain way, not an almond shape, maybe cat shaped. We actually believe that preserving your youth is so very important. I mean, to go under the knife when it's not indicated. I mean, definitely in your 30s, sometimes it is indicated that you're looking so tired, hungover, you are not very happy with your look. So I think that is another thing to be careful about, not just get influenced by the pictures on the internet, and take the wise decision of when you actually need it, when you actually will benefit from it.
Yeah.
And in fact, in our practice, we talk to the patients again, empathy and trust.
We kind of counsel, some youngsters.
Last one patient, I remember 3 visits, 4 visits, and we have just been counseling him that everything is okay. He looks handsome.
But really
yes,
good,
yes.
Very smart kid, So, in our practice also, we kind of, relate as you walk in our practice, you're a family, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would just think of the client who walks in, what consider putting myself in the same shoes, like, kids, and since social media, Instagram, and of course, Instagram has all these apps which makes you nicer. Filters and apps that makes you
And another thing is they just see the eye. We always talk about you should look at your whole face, how your anatomy is, how your bone structure is, and how your eye is fitting on your own face. You can't just look at somebody's eyes and think that, okay, this will look good on my eyes.
Absolutely,
so
I agree. And so I think as a doctor and a surgeon, you also kind of draw a line. We wouldn't step into a zone where it's really not indicated, like as she said, it's youth. They have their, always preserve youth until and unless something is really going wrong. So we really have this kind of a boundary where we are straightforward with the patient, whether it's really required for you or not. And when it's required, of course, we say that it's required. And there are situations where patients don't identify it as required also. For example, the functional, right?
Correct.
You can.
Yeah. So functional aspect that you were talking about, this, especially when we get older, like late 60s, 70s, when the eye is like really the skin is redundant and it's like hooding. The hooding increases, and it's kind of like a curtain which falls in front of the eye.
Yeah.
And at that stage, even the changes are happening in the lens. You might be in a position to require a cataract surgery. So just doing the cataract surgery is not going to clear off your vision. When there's a curtain which is hanging in front of your eyes, clearing off the inner vision is basically not going to help you unless you lift up the eye. And there's such a scare of fall in elderly. When there is like a hooding of the eye and you can't even see properly. Recently, we have done a blepharoplasty in a 78-year-old lady who had, her eyes were like just so small that she could not even see properly. So even the scare of fall is there. So it's just not like looking good or rejuvenation. It's actually like a functional indication in certain cases that we see that it is required even before a cataract surgery, I would say.
Yeah. So we have like excellent cataract surgeons, A cataract is again age related, they do precisely so good. Patient has 6x6 vision, but then, sometimes you forget to tell the patient, well, you have a droopy eye and a redundant skin, which is actually, so eyelid is kind of a window, right? Or a curtain, whatever we call it. So until and unless your curtain is not open, although you have amazing lens, which is kept, which is like super clear, the patient doesn't see. So I remember this recently, the professor who came, he underwent cataract surgery. But he's like, you know what? There is kind of a shadow in my field of vision. And they come and say, some identify it, intelligent clients identify it.
And even the biker you were telling me about.
Yes, the biker, the biker. Oh,
the side vision he could not see when he was driving.
So he bikes with his Harley Davidson every part of Europe. And he's not old. He's actually young.
50s, I think.
50s, he's pretty young. He's 54 or something. But, he had allergy and so much of redundant skin, which is like hanging and hooding. And he says like, it really affects my field of vision. Doctor, what can I do? And then, I did blepharoplasty for him. So there is really functional indication for blepharoplasty to improve the quality of life, just not rejuvenating yourself. Yeah.
And would you say there is any contraindication for blepharoplasty?
I don't think there is any contraindication for blepharoplasty. We all deserve to look rejuvenated. Yeah. But then,
and even eye conditions, there's no contraindication because you're just dealing with the eyelids.
Correct. So there are situations where patient comes in us like, you know what, I'm going there. Will it affect my eyeball? Will it affect my vision? Yeah. So these are surgeries which is on the eyelid. It's nothing to do with the eyeball. Upper lid, just the skin. But when when you go to a lower lid, and that is exactly why an eye plastic surgeon has to deal with it, you are going inside, it's only the eyelid, but then you're going and dealing with the fat. So there are certain muscles in the corner which has to be taken care. And although, that muscle has a function of, movement of the eyeball and stuff, any small injury to that can create trouble. And, taking too much of fat, I would say, like,
Oh, yeah. The
just don't
skeletonized
be,
look.
yeah, just don't be aggressive. Like, giving a very near natural look, telling the patient that this is what we are going to do. I'm not going to take out everything because that will actually give a skeletonized look. And it's like, it might turn out to be some completely a disaster
Yeah.
if we overdo it also. So as a surgeon, my first rule is don't be aggressive with the tissues and the surgery. As far as, any eyelid surgery, just not blepharoplasty, any eyelid surgery. Yeah, any surgery in and around the eyes.
And so I would also want to highlight what all happens when you walk into a setup to discuss about these surgeries. We have to evaluate you in detail. The other ocular things that we take care is obviously your vision, and all of those things we do examine. And there's certain history that we want from you, any pills that you are taking, and not just the allopathic pills. I think even the Ayurvedic supplements. There's so many supplements that can actually thin the blood. And the only thing that obviously happens after the surgery, you are touching the eyelids, handling the tissues, is bruising of the eyelids, which can increase. And there's so much.
Bruising will 100% happen. But
correct.
it depends upon
even
the
best
severity
hands,
on whether you're in a blood thinner or not.
Correct, yeah. So these are the entire details. Sometimes it happens that we ask about because sometimes mechanically we take the history and they tell us about hypertension, BP, whatever, but they forget to tell us about the other natural supplements, thinking that they're natural supplements, but they are actually blood thinners. And that is all the information that has to be revealed. And
basically, as a surgeon, we want to reduce the bruising as less as possible.
And even during the surgery, the bleeding thing, just to have
so that is, I think,
view.
Important. Yeah, that's pretty important. Yeah. And well, revealing what all sometimes as a surgeon or maybe patient forgets to tell us what are the previous surgeries that they have done. So, well, we kind of jot down everything and, whatever procedures they have done. And I think it's important for the surgeon to know so that they can kind of navigate in a customized approach of dealing with what they have in their hand in the most beautiful possible way. Yes.
And another very common question is, what can we expect after the surgery? Would you want to take us through what can happen?
Risk? So, risk. Well, you know what? In a good surgeon's hand, there is not much of a risk in blepharoplasty, and that is why it's most commonly done, right? Like it's like day in and out, we do it so much. But well, as I said, 100% there will be bruising of the eye, and especially when you are later age group, there is lots of redundancy and loosening of the skin. The tissues are not tight. So you can have this collection of fluid and blood in the lower eyelid as if, you have gone for a boxing. But all these resolves. It resolves. Like I would say the bruising would resolve in 2 to 3 weeks. The first 3 days there will be swelling, but at the end of 1 week, the swelling kind of settles down. The stitches, if at all we have in the upper eyelid, it's removed at 1 week's time. And, you do the surgery and you walk out. It's like a day procedure.
Yeah, sometimes we don't even patch
We don't patch the eyes at all. Yeah. So patients are worried, when I do both the eyes, whether my eyes will be patched, how do I function? We don't patch the eyes. We control the bleeding so delicately, well, so that they are actually functional the same day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it's like a safe, quick procedure.
It is.
Yes.
It is safe
to give you
procedure.
A rejuvenated look, even the functional indications.
And finding the right person to do it, finding the right surgeon to do it is very important. And we being oculoplastic surgeons, eye plastic surgeons, definitely we believe that, it's always better to do it in an eye plastics surgeon's hand with this very, very delicate structures, which we are trained, from major surgeries to minor surgeries. This is what we do day in and day out, identifying the vital structures of the eye, the muscles, the tissues around it, the eye surface, delicate structures. So, that is what we want to highlight here today.
Yeah. So the next part, obviously, after discussing everything in detail, patients would want to know whether it is covered by their insurance policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say some are covered, some procedures, some are not covered, like functional can be covered by the insurance
100%. Yeah.
companies. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, regarding the insurance, well, they consider it as a plastic surgery, and that is why cosmetic surgery, and that is why there is a hesitation to cover it. But I think it's high time that we have to, even the insurance companies have to change it.
It's age related.
It's age related, and it is like actually, you're paying the premium, and I think you deserve to get it. But there are very specific situations where insurance definitely covers. You kind of have this heaviness, and it's a constant heaviness that the patient has. So we actually mention it in our, clinical details, and functionally, when the patient has a droopy eyelid and the hooding, it's affecting their vision. So we have certain other tests in these situations, like we check the visual field test. So we have evidence that it is a functional issue for these patients, and insurance accepts it. So there are many functional cases, and even non-functional, where patient has this kind of a heaviness, and all these even younger patients, there is something called blepharochalasis, where you can have repeated swelling of the eyelid, and finally in their 30s and late 20s, they can have this, redundant skin. So these are pathological conditions which is actually affecting the daily life and quality life of the patient. So as a surgeon, we mention that, and then I think, in such situation, insurance also understands. Most of the time they understand about these.
They should understand otherwise also, but in these cases, for sure they understand.
For sure they understand. So, well, that is how it is. And have we covered everything?
Yes, I think so. Maybe you can leave some comments below.
We will answer.
And we would be happy to address them. If there are too many, maybe we can have another episode of the details of the surgery.
We can.
Another question is the downtime. How much they would have to stay away from work. They can work on the laptop. There's another very common question that the patient asks. And as I think you just mentioned also, that 1 week the suture comes out. And if you are comfortable, I think we don't have any restrictions from our side for you to not work on your computer or attend the meetings. It's just the bruised look. Maybe you can wear some cooling glasses, and you can even go about outside. So I wouldn't say that there's too much of a downtime. It's just the bruising that just goes away. Even that, I think concealers and all can be used. So if you have that issue, so there's no contraindication to use all those skin products also after a week when the stitches are removed. So I think it's a quick one. It's a easy one. And everybody can consider
so
it.
Downtime, there are patients, before marriage of their child. We had this patient, my daughter's getting married, I really want to fix it. So if that is the case, it will be nice that you think about it at least 6 weeks before the occasion, because everything will be kind of good. You may not even need to use concealers and stuff. So if there is an occasion that you're planning, 6 weeks ahead of the occasion will be really nice. I think so. Right.
I think we have covered most of the things, and always we are happy, and we welcome your comments or questions. We are happy to answer them.
In this, or just contact us. We are always there. We like talking, and I think it's always the interaction between two human beings that we also learn. Okay, this patient thinks like this, and so keep talking to us, keep interacting to us, and we are always here for your queries. You need not be shy. So once you walk in, it's always a friendly relationship that we build with the patient. And I think it's so important. And I would also expect the same if I walk into a clinic or a doctor for my problems, to have that connection with the surgeon and the doctor for a better outcome. It's all psychological as well, right? Yeah,
there's a mental block. And I think many times we have seen that patients do say, oh, why did I have this mental block? The surgery was so quick, the recovery was so quick, and what was I waiting for? I mean, to get it done.
You remember Rennie was telling us recently, why did I do this? Why did I delay this for a long time? It is so easy. So actually it is easy. And well, we are not taking too much of time, because last time we did an eye talk and my best friend called me, it is nice, but it is too long. We can't listen to you. I was sleeping. Well, we don't want to
You to
put
sleep.
you to bed. This is a very crisp information that we want to pass over. But if you need more information, we will come with very, very specific things. We don't really want to make it too long and kind of bore you. So this is the intention today, to talk about blepharoplasty that we do in and out. And recently, I think there has been increase in
Increase, for
yeah.
sure. I
And
think people are more open also to
open
all
up.
these.
Yeah. And I think the increase is because of social media,
Yes.
where everyone has information and they are seeing, people doing it. And I
Yeah.
think it has made them more
confident.
confident
Yeah.
about the So recently there has been an increase in number of surgeries in
all age
blepharoplasty.
groups, I would say,
Yeah,
right? We have
yeah,
seen all age groups in the last one and a half
So
months.
my oldest would be 89 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Yes.
And he looks really good. All right. Thank you so much for being with us on this special episode as surgeons. We are so delighted because, we love our work. And whenever we wear a scrub, I think we have an extra energy in us.
Yes.
Yeah, the surgeon's energy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. See
Thank
you guys.
See you.